All right, good day, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. So this evening, because I usually record in the evenings here on the East Coast of the USA, I'm bringing on, yes, another new guest co-host here in late 2019. And let me give you a quick skinny on this one. We're obviously probably going to be heading more on the healthy lifestyle component, but she's got an entrepreneurial side too. But I'm excited today because just to set the stage for you guys, we talk about health, nutrition, and today we're actually going to dig deeper into maybe some cancer influence. And this is, I forget the exact percentages, but it's affecting a lot more of us or friends and family connected to us than it's ever have. So with setting that stage, let me give you a quick skinny here. We got a registered holistic nutritionist and a cancer coach. And she's dedicated to helping people understand the power that lies at the end of their fork. A breast cancer survivor herself, she specializes in functional application of nutrition for root cause health improvement for chronic disease with a particular focus on cancer care. So we were just talking before the show started. She actually records a podcast herself called The Health Hub and gets to hang out at a radio station, among other areas. And there's a lot more to it here. We got a BS from the University of Toronto, majoring in psychology. We got some Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. So without further ado, Cathy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So you're in Toronto and you're in a snowstorm, right?
I'm in Toronto. I'm in a snowstorm. That's exactly right. Just
this
shoveling
time
my
of
way
year?
out of it, actually.
Okay. So it's like, I just got to go out and shovel and I'll be good to go. So
Exactly.
now here's the question though. Is there another storm coming in behind it?
I don't think so. I think we're looking into better weather.
All right.
I'm hoping. Maybe that's just hope.
Because I mean, I'm located an hour north of Philadelphia and I'm tracking the storm that's been wrapping around us and it's tracking northwest towards the Great Lakes. So who knows? Maybe it'd come up and say hi to you. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully not. It's a little bit early for this, to be quite honest.
I agree.
I just got my snow tires on. I was slip sliding in our first snowstorm, which was, I don't know, the very beginning of November. So yeah, you can take a little bit of a break. The snowy white can come in a couple weeks. So white Christmas.
Well, at least you already got the tires on. So there you go.
Yeah.
You're ready to rock and roll now, and literally roll. So
yeah.
Well, hey, let's dive in. You are so passionate about health, nutrition, and cancer. Being a survivor, I already hinted at to the listeners. You got a radio talk show / podcast, and you actually do it live. And you guys dig in a lot about integrative health, right?
We do. It's integrative health, but I also have scientists on there, and I love having the scientists on there because they do such amazing work. And they don't have a platform a lot of times to talk about their research and studies. So when it comes into integrative health, and I like that better than alternative health, I'm very much in the integrative aspect of health. I love having them on because, what they do and what they're finding may not filter down for a number of years. So it's just great to have them on. But yet we have a lot of integrative people on. I've had chefs on. So I make it fun. And I don't have many in the way of cancer guests on because I do that as my other hat. So it's really more of a show for people who are just stepping out into integrative health. Well,
and to be fair, not just to dive right into some business side of things, but you and I joked around that we don't generate our podcast content to make money, right? This is a passion.
Not a penny.
It's a passion platform. Some people do that. So your profession is obviously for the income side of life is you're taking what you've learned from cancer coaching and helping others with that.
Yes. And my guests give me so much information too. I've been able to integrate stuff that they have given me and ideas and knowledge. It's been wonderful, but I love meeting people like you. It really helps to complete my whole idea of how life should be lived.
I love that. It was funny because earlier this year I was back for the 5th time at the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference. I think this rebranded. It's a different name now. It's down. This year they hosted it in Atlantic City. But we actually had people who had traveled down. It was either from your area, or it was from Montreal. I know it's a different province, but I was impressed that people were willing to travel that far just as podcasters.
It's not that far.
Well, they drove.
We're in really?
Yeah,
we
they
have
drove.
The Raptors. We have the Raptors. We have the NBA champs. We're not that remote.
Well, but again, would you drive or would you fly?
We've driven down there. That's not that far. I've drove to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven from here all the way to Montreal. I mean, it's you could do it in less than a day. It's not like it's the end of the world. It just depends if you're willing.
In the winter, I might fly. In the winter, I might.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, so So let's at least dig deeper into the integrated piece you brought up, because it's just last week I had on a functional nurse on one and a functional medicine coach on another show. So there's a lot of key words going on out there. So I love getting on people like you, because you're not coming at this as a doctor or as a scientist. You're going ahead and working with them, interviewing them and learning from them and passing that content on, which is powerful. And nowadays, a lot of people are confused because they hear holistic and they hear functional, then they hear integrative. So how would you like to maybe make that simple?
Make it simple. We're looking for the root cause.
Thank you.
I am not a doctor. I stay within my scope. I work on lifestyle and nutrition pieces, especially within the cancer realm. These pieces are not often seen in a medical allopathic protocol. So this is a huge piece that gives cancer patients ownership of a part of their protocol. If you've not been through cancer and you've been through any disease where, it's sort of taken over your life, you are inundated with tests and results. You're pulled into a medical system and you can feel like you've lost control.
Okay.
So the integrative piece allows a person to work with their lifestyle, with their nutrition, working in things like circadian rhythm and the microbiome and things like this to really, really impact their overall health. It's far beyond just nutrition. And it's an integrative aspect because we need to work with the medical team. Standard of care for cancer patients comes from the medical arena. And I want to work with the doctors. So when we're talking in general scopes about functional and integrative, we really are wanting to deal with the root cause. Now, with cancer and me and the way I work, I'm not digging into root cause. Cancer is a huge disease. It's very multifaceted. I'm more working on the health of the cancer patient. So what I do is try and prepare them for their treatments, try and help them recover from their treatments, try and mitigate side effects. And it's fascinating how much power nutrition and lifestyle change can do to help these things, especially mitigating the side effects of treatment. So yeah, functional is more, we don't want to just deal with the symptoms. If you're talking about an autoimmune disease, for instance, so a functional doctor won't just, give a cream to someone who may have a psoriasis or things like that. What they'll be doing is trying to figure out why you've got this. That is it's a different avenue of trying to work on the health of somebody.
Well, I tell people all the time, I'm nothing against MDs, right? The medical doctors who commit to that level of education, the time commitment, the financial commitment, it's commendable. But I've now learned too much over recent years, and it's like, well, people are like, when's the last time you did an MD? And I said, can't remember.
Well, now, granted, equipping people with the right questions is huge too. I think that's a big part of what people that are in the functional integrative arena can do is, ask why. Don't just get medication for blood sugar. Why is your blood sugar high? Talking like things like that. It's a dialogue, and nobody knows you better than you. And I think that's where we come from.
Like just last week, I was talking with, you ever hear of Dr. Janine Krause? She runs the Health Fix podcast.
No, I haven't.
I'll have to get you guys connected.
There are a lot of us, aren't there?
Yeah. Well, but she's actually, I believe she's a naturopathic medicine.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, but also, trained and educated in acupuncture and everything else. And I love talking to people like that too, because again, back to our point, we're trying to find root causes. And a lot of us go right for the quick fix, which is, I call it the pharmaceutical Band-Aid. Give me the drug so I can feel better. But from what you and I now know about impacts of gut biology, gut biome, you put foreign objects like a pharmaceutical into your body, it's causing other problems as well.
Yeah.
So did you at least take the time, if you're going to take the temporary, I call it temporary pharmaceutical Band-Aid because you haven't found the real cause, then please also take the effort to go get the root cause, figure it all out, and see if you can shorten the time it's necessary to even beyond that medicine, if you even need it at all. So,
Yep. But some people are happy to get rid of symptomology. So we are educating people, and like some people won't feel comfortable going that way or talking to doctors, which is fine too.
Sure.
But, you know, for those who really want to get deeper into their own health and really be the captain of their own ship, this is the way to go.
Yes. And that's I think that was never one of my original messages of launching this show over 3 years ago. But now that I've brought on, you know, DNA geneticists, scientists, and I mean, I've had all kinds of PhD, et cetera, DOs, DCs, MDs, now the naturopathic side too. I think all of us, the ones who take the time to get onto a podcast, I've noticed, are the ones who do care, including the MDs. I've had ER doctors on here and everything, and they all admit it. They admit it. It's the system, at least here in the U.S., the system. When I say system, we're referring to the pharmaceuticals company influence on our medical system, the hospitals, everything else. It's become a rotating door because no one is slowing down or at least pausing to take a look for that root cause. They're just saying, great, that doctor, you're required to only spend 10 minutes with that patient, and that's it. You have no time to find a root cause. They're just saying, okay, this is your symptoms, here's your medicine, move on. And that's a shame. But
it is a shame, but with the coming of the understanding of the microbiome, in my opinion, since we're going down this path,
absolutely,
there is a necessary avenue now for the medical profession to have to open up the idea of the impact of food and the impact of sleep. Not that they don't value those things, but the impact that has on the microbiome, and now the corollary that we're seeing with so many diseases. Hopefully the handshaking will be a little bit better as we move forward, because we do need each other.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's what I was saying earlier, like, you know, maybe you need the medicine temporarily. And that's where I don't want to take anything away from that. Clearly, we have laboratories and amazing scientists who have taken these basic, simple ingredients from Mother Nature that they found in, for example, the deepest parts of the Amazon and the jungles. And like, wait a minute, this is a natural herbal medicine. And now fast forward many years of research and they've turned it into a drug or whatever. But I want to go back to when they first found it. And it's like, well, before we have created whatever the heck we have created nowadays, what was its original points? What's its original impacts? How can that be targeted towards helping maybe trigger some changes in some of those root causes? So,
and that's the power of food. You know, we can take pieces and we can take phytonutrients from food, but the power of food and the synergy of food is in its whole state. Yeah. You know, there's nothing better for you than an apple than the whole apple, you know, as opposed to taking the phytonutrients out. I mean, we can use them therapeutically, but in everyday life, they're so powerful.
Right. Well, it's like, for example, it'd be like, well, why do people skin an apple? Well, I'm like, well, I mean, that extra skin on there was on there for a reason, not just to protect the fruit, but as long as it's clean and not covered in pesticides, that combined with the fruit is actually slowing down the rate of sugar absorption, because you take that skin off and you take the fiber off and you're just left with a big sugar bomb. It's still a high glycemic fruit, not compared to apples and all the other, like pineapple and all that stuff. But that's what you're saying, back to whole food, for example. So
yeah, and interestingly, I was reading a study about how beneficial the seeds in the core are for the microbiome.
Right. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Why was that? When we were kids, we were never allowed to eat the core or the apples. And I was like, or the seeds. I was like,
yeah, exactly.
Was it a choking hazard thing or what? I mean,
I don't know why. Well, they say that the seeds can be unhealthy, but that's if you have like 40 apples. I mean, then, you know, anything can be unhealthy, but
if you're hanging out in an apple orchard,
banana peels, you know, it's funny when we talk about sustainable food, people are taking banana peels and they're cooking with the banana peels. Like, why are we throwing those out? And it's just something that we've always done. But maybe it's time to rethink, you know, especially with the shortage of food around the world and, you know, trying to save the environment and recycling all these things and repurposing is very important.
Well, it's like back in August, I'm very proud of this project. My client and friend now, you ever hear of Vinny Tortorich?
No.
So he
owns pulling names out that I don't know now. You're making me look bad.
No, I'm excited. No, because you're to be fair, you're in another country. You know, his strongest strength was built in LA. He was born in New Orleans, but he built his brand and his awareness as a professional trainer to the stars out in
Oh.
LA, Los Angeles, celebrity fitness trainer, yada, yada, yada. But he's 57 years old now. He built his brand and his awareness through word of mouth. He was never a big tech guy. So anyway, fast forward, the guy was an ultra endurance athlete and everything else when he wasn't training people, but he owns the trademark NSNG, which means no sugar, no grains. So, which is a big part of my life. I do not allow excess into my life. And because there's so much proof and science tied to the inflammatory side effects of these ingredients. And anyway, fast forward, the guy develops cancer, and this guy was a health and fitness machine. So people are like, well, wait a minute, like, you're a health and fitness guy. He's like, guess what? He's like, I'm evidence. He said, cancer is going to pick any one of us. You can't predict it. And even though he's an ultra athlete, one day his doctor calls up. He's like, I need you to get off the bike, get into a taxi and get to my house now. And it was a friend of his, and she was running blood work on him. And she figured out he had gotten leukemia. And it was actually beyond stage 4. It was that aggressive. And she actually told him, she's like, listen, we still don't have the studies out yet, but keep doing what you're doing. What you do to your customers, getting them off of sugars and grains to get them ready for the movie, do it. She's like, we can't publish the data yet, but we're seeing a lot of stuff tied to that, cancer is, feeding on sugar. This is part of his backstory. Well, anyway, that's 10 years ago. He beat cancer. He hasn't come back. He's living in a state of ketosis every single day of his life because of what he's learned from that. And maybe that's not for everybody, but he's a big proponent of whole food, whole nutrition. He hates the protein shakes and stuff.
Well, and I think those are the stories. That's another passion of mine that we need to hear. Cancer is, statistics are it's going to hit 1 in 2 people. Mm-hmm. We're getting far more survivors, and we need to start drumming that. Doctors, it's beatable. Not that, oh, you have cancer and, hand to heart. It's like, you've got cancer and let's figure out what we can do about this.
Well, we were like that with HIV, right? I mean, obviously not people. Now there's cures for HIV. Back in the day, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was a death sentence. So. And
we have to be that way. Science says when you're in stress and you're in shock, your immune system goes down. And the way we approach people and the way we talk to them about the disease has an impact. So I think it's so important when you have cancer or when you're diagnosed with cancer. Yes, it's going to be shock. I can't take away from that. Mm-hmm. But, we don't need to see the man or the woman hooked up to an IV that has no hair. We need to see the people that have survived. And we need that type of story. We need to bring in what we can do as opposed to the fear. There's no mitigating that fear. There's no getting rid of the fear, but we need to bring on the other side of it.
So why do you think people are still stuck on the negative side?
And probably because there's so many diseases. There are so many diseases of cancer, and it can be fatal, and people go through a lot, and it's a year or 2 at a time, and it is a scary disease. And you can't take away from that. I've been through the process, so I feel I can say that.
Yeah, give our listeners a little bit more on that. I mean, you're the guest co-host today. I mean, obviously, we kind of casually mentioned that you happen to be a cancer survivor. I mean, what's the summary on that?
Well, I was diagnosed in 2011.
Okay.
Breast cancer, and I went through a year of the standard of care. So I did chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery. Alongside of that, I really worked hard on my diet. I exercised a lot, and that still wasn't, I got a little bit of pushback because at that time, exercising can be inflammatory. So I was kind of getting the pushback about be careful, don't overdo it. But I needed to do it. So I was in the gym every day. This isn't for everybody, but my body needed to do it, whether it was my mind that needed that release. So I was in the gym almost every day.
Well, it's not like you were doing crushing workouts. You were moving the body. You were keeping things active.
Exactly. And my mindset, the first 2 weeks after I was diagnosed, I was not in a good place. And that's, to the point that, I heard that word and I automatically went to the dark place. So, and that's the way it is, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, so, I don't think, I pride myself on my strength of mindset over the years, and there's still stuff that's going to knock me down. If I had that message, I don't care how strong you think you are, you're going to get knocked down.
Well, I
Or
have
the
4
dark
kids.
place.
I have 4 kids, and I think within 10 seconds I had gone through how they would be without me. And, it's I just wish I hadn't have done that. It took me a couple of weeks to turn it around. And then it was, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to do the best I can. And that's what I did. So a year later, I was finished. And what I saw, I had to line up for my appointments. I had to line up to check in. I had to line up for everything. And this was all in a line of cancer patients. And it shocked me.
You mean like physically, like you have to get in
Physically
line?
keyed up to check in for my appointments. So
Wow.
many people.
Like an assembly line.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
Is it because you were at a very high-end facility and there was just that many patients there, or is that the norm?
No, I think it's pretty prevalent. I was at Sunnybrook Hospital, and they are a main cancer hospital in Toronto. But even so, just the number of people lined up, and I saw women there who were going through chemotherapy. They brought their children, and they jumped on a bus, and they went home. And I thought, more can be done.
Yeah.
And I think where it really hit me was when you go for radiation. I had 25 rounds of radiation. So you see the same people frequently. They've since I went through mine, they have cut it back a little bit.
Okay.
So they found that.
Do you think they're just going overboard just in case to cover the bases type of thing? Or
I think that it's, I think it was strictly, that was the protocol for what I had.
Okay. What stage were you?
They thought I was stage 1. They went in for the surgery, and I had gone into the first 4 lymph nodes. So up to stage 2, I was bumped.
Oh, so when you hit the lymph nodes in breast cancer, that's considered
it's
graduating and moving.
Yes, okay. Exactly. So because of that, I had to go through the chemotherapy and the radiation. But I had met so many people that didn't make it through their chemotherapy, were hospitalized, and treatment had to stop. And they had asked me, and I would say, I was okay. I got through, and I started thinking, well, what did I do that these people were telling me, they didn't do? And it was the exercise. It was changing my diet. It was all these things, and I thought we need to trumpet that a little bit more. So after the year I finished, I went back to school. I learned about nutrition. I went to a cancer program and started working in it. And I, as luck would have it, I met a naturopathic doctor that I've been with since. And he's specializing in oncology, and we've worked together since that happened. So
I love that.
5 years we're going into now.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, number one, obviously, congrats to kicking the crap out of it and being here to talk to us today, because like you kind of casually threw in there's a lot of people you met that didn't come out with the same results. So
it was a lot harder for them. And that being said, different diseases and everything, but talking to them, I realized that, they would go home and they wouldn't be exercising, and, diet was different with everybody. And there's so much that can do. There really is a lot that can do.
I just get a lot of connections on you right now with my brief little share of Vinny, because, once he went through that, there was some kind of like, I don't know, whatever they call it, writer's strike in LA and whatever else was going on. So some famous person, it was one of his buddies, like, hey man, you should, since you can't work, because if the actors and writers are on strike, who's going to pay you to train them, right? Because he was the trainer of the stars. So his buddy's like, listen, you've always wanted to write your book. You should write your book. And so his podcast is called Fitness Confidential. The book is called Fitness Confidential. I recommend checking it out because he shares his story in there. Mm-hmm. And that was like, I think, his wake-up call, which I'm hearing from you right now, and something that I've taken now to heart myself with what I do with my podcast. And now I'm writing my first book, but it's about what is the legacy that we're going to leave behind in this world? Mm-hmm. And I didn't always choose to add. I was just a voracious podcast consumer for years. And I didn't know, one day I just made that epiphany. I'm like, I could do this better than a lot of other people. And I have a different message I want to share to the people and give back to people. So I decided to become a podcaster too. So obviously Vinny's a podcaster, author, and now a movie creator. We released his movie this year called Fat, a documentary, The Truth About Healthy Fats. And we had some big names in that, big doctors and scientists. You would love it. I think we finally released it in Canada too. So
okay, I'll check it out.
I think I now saw it on because we've ranked so well that Amazon now included it for free for Amazon Prime members. So I don't know if that's.
I've got Amazon Prime.
Yeah, we are here. And I believe they've finally unlocked it there because we have it out on DVD and Blu-ray too. But I think we finally, graduated to the, you're so good that you could be, Amazon wants to include you for free on Prime. So check that out because you would love it. And then if I can get you guys connected later, maybe I'll try to, because it's, anyway, the point here is a legacy message. So it ties back to you. Obviously, was this one of the biggest inspirations behind you becoming a cancer coach?
Yeah, I fought it too. I didn't think I wanted to go back when I was going through nutrition. I kind of back and forth if I wanted to do it, and so many things just aligned.
Yeah.
That I thought, this I'm being told this is where I'm supposed to be going with this.
Yeah,
so
listen to the universe.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a lot of what I learned too, is I don't say no much anymore. Like, I should rephrase that. I open myself up to a lot of things that I would never have done, like my radio show. Like, I would never have done that before.
I know, right?
And
like you never plan on being on radio, and now you're on radio.
No.
It's probably like, well, opportunity.
Yeah, and I was like, you want me to do a radio show? And okay, sure, why not? But years ago, I wouldn't have done that. But I think that it's a legacy for all of us to leave the world a better place than what we came into it as. And I had somebody on my show, Dr. Hackett, and he said, if I have improved the life of one person, I have lived a good life.
Yes.
And I live by that.
One person at a time.
One person at a time. And I think we all have something. It doesn't take a disease. It doesn't take a life stressing event for all of us to understand that we should be giving back. We should be doing more. We should be helping our fellow man. I think it's vital. It's why we're here.
Yeah. I love your message. Obviously, we're coming off of the holiday weekend for Thanksgiving last week here, and it's funny because I catch up with old friends. You maybe only see them once a year, family. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, you still doing that podcasting thing? I'm like, oh yeah, that thing.
Thing I do, yeah.
The thing that has over 300 shows online, thousands of downloads.
Take heart. People who know you just don't believe that you can do what you do. I think we all face that. People say to me, "Oh, go ahead. You finish your story."
No, you go and then I'll go.
I had somebody I know, I'm not going to call her out, but say, I heard that if I took CoQ10 for my heart, it's good for my heart. And I said, you heard that. I said, I've been telling you should be, but I went to listen to this doctor talk, and I thought, okay, that's fine.
That's fine. Even though you're talking to doctors every week.
That's okay. People that we know don't figure that,
Well, and that's something over the years, because I've been a trainer. I've been a spinning instructor, USSA ski race coach.
That is a
CrossFit
hard exercise, spinning.
Right? Oh yeah, I did that for 6 years. I actually have an actual spinning bike in my garage gym right now.
Oh, good for you, man.
I just added it back in. I was like, I hop back on it. I'm flashing back to my old days of teaching, and I'm like,
I just saw a commercial. They had women on there, and they're talking to their watch going, Siri, find me yoga studios. It is so hard spinning. So good for you. I enjoy teaching it because I always challenge people to beat the size of the puddle under my bike of sweat. So, and I would teach the 6 a.m. class. So people are like, why would you do that? And I said, well, because you're a real keener.
I'm weirdo. That was my morning coffee, I called it. People are like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, this is not my career. I had a full-time corporate gig. I was like, I would just go in the morning, get my workout done, and then go to my salary gig back in the day and do that all day. But I was wide awake when I went to work. So
I've only done a few spinning courses in their classes, and they were so tough.
Yeah. So, and some are good to you and some are bad to you. And actually, it's funny. A friend of mine, very good friend of mine, I just saw on Facebook today, this weekend, he completed a group spinning class to set a Guinness record to raise money. I think they pedaled for 28 hours straight. Like all of them at once? They didn't tag each other out? Whole class, 28 hours. I believe so. I mean, I have to go find the details, but I'm like, it was a group spinning class, and every single person did it for 28 hours straight.
Kudos
Like,
for that's great.
imagine how your butt feels after that.
Butt, legs, standing, sitting. I think it would. I don't know if I'd last for 2 hours.
I was so impressed. I helped him
That is
open
impressive.
I helped him open his bike shop in Colorado years ago. He and I go way back. I was just out in Colorado last month and saw him while I was on a business trip, and it just cracks me up. I'm like, you're a nutball. I love it.
So you're influencing people all over America.
Well,
Good
so
for you.
it's again back to this message of legacy. Like that's also us having fun with this, right? So me joking around about people like, oh, you're still doing the podcasting thing. I'm like, yeah. But it's like when I started this podcast back in 2016, I didn't know where it was going to go. My original goal was I want to find the voice, find the audience, and yeah, if it helps grow the brand of Live the Fuel, great. But over the years, and you could talk to this, right? The longer you spend on the mic, the more people you interact with, just like your cancer coaching patients, it's or clients. They're like, you know what? You learn that your voice changes, your circle of influence changes. You realize, to your point, you just said, like, I now have one guy, shout out to Brian Strausser. He's like, he's my first brand ambassador. He's like, dude, I want to be your brand ambassador. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I love the podcast. I love the brand. He and I met volunteering, building mountain biking trails like 2 years ago. And now he just joined me for every year I go up to Thanksgiving. This is my 10th year. We go up to Harlem, into the urban areas of Harlem, upper New York City. And we do a Thanksgiving meal from scratch to finish, all organic, all natural. 2,000 meals go out to the street hot on Thanksgiving morning. All because I met some woman years ago at a cafe, this sweet little old Sister Mary Lanning, and she's been doing this for 53 years. And I've only been doing it for 10. And he's like, I want to go. So he came up last year with me and this year. And this is where one person, but I've had other people now like, oh, dude, like your show is kind of like my life coach. And I was like, I'm honored, but dude, it's your life. I'm just trying to find great people like you today, just to bring a new voice in. And if we can, that's to say, like, I might have had somebody listen to this show for 3 months. And now if they hear this show, you might be the one person they get through to, or you get through to them. So that's the whole point of this for me. And
it is. And you have to be comfortable knowing that you may never know the people that you've influenced.
And I'm cool with it.
Yeah. As long as you're true to yourself and you believe your message, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And this is something I've talked to other new podcasters about. They're like, well, very first question, how do you monetize? And I was like, you're going to crash and burn.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I was like, if you're going into this to make money, you don't get it. And I know this from the business world too. You need to spend you got to have a long-term mindset. People looking for a turnkey thing ain't happening. Sorry. Not everybody's the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. He was already famous and he brings on amazing people. But by the way, do you hear my Calvin, the coonhound?
I do.
Hi. Yeah.
I should let my 2 dogs in here and let them go too. They go crazy.
He's a cancer survivor.
Oh,
so
excellent.
Last Thanksgiving, we had to take one of his front legs off because he had cancer in his elbow. And my wife is a equine veterinary doctor and chiropractic doctor for animals. And I don't know if it's luckily when we decided to put him in for the treatment, she had an equine conference to go to and she was freaking out. I'm like, you probably shouldn't be here right now anyway. I don't care how much of a doctor you are. You can't handle your own pet. So we unfortunately had to take one of his legs off to remove the cancer. But we never had to put him through any of the heavy duty, like drug treatment like you went through. And he's now over 11 years old and still spunky and
making your life happy.
Yeah. So, but I figured I'd share that with you too, since he's decided to say hi. So
that's nice. I just heard my dog jump here. Someone must be coming home at our place.
There you go. So back to your
coaching. What you were saying. I think that you've got to be organic. You've got to believe in people. And, we hear the stories of everybody who's, are you okay? Could you see me? Okay. We hear the story of all the really big people, but there's so many other people that are making so impactful differences. So be true to yourself. My message developed, I just knew I wanted to talk about integrative health, and it just develops. I don't think I have a single message other than I think people should understand certain things. Here are some tools for you. See what you can do with them. And I just love the people I meet. I learn every week from these people.
And that's one of the reasons why I love to still do it too. Like I actually took the past 2 months off from airing a show because I've been trying to get this book done. And I was like, finally, I'm like, there's only so much time in the world. I was like, we got so much evergreen content online. We have over 300 shows that people can go back and listen to. I was like, let's just put a pause It's not going away. I was still completing interviews, maybe with half the schedule availability. And I was worried about that. I didn't want to upset the audience. And my friends are like, and some of my listeners are just like, well, we're subscribed. So, I mean, it's
Give
like,
us stuff.
if it's like, if you're subscribed and nothing comes up, but once the new shows get released, we'll get updated. He's like, we're cool. Like, we get it, man. Like, we want the book. I'm like, okay, cool. But I think that goes back to too, is that also allowed me to refocus some things.
Yes.
And I'm actually, there's a new chapter of the show growth happening. There might be some spin-off shows. Now my new podcasting platform software has given me the ability to literally, I can spin off separate shows instantaneously. So now I'm thinking about taking all of the health focused shows like this one will be and releasing a whole separate show just with all the history of all the health targeted episodes, and then a separate business one, because some people might be just looking for people like you and what you bring on your show. So who knows what's going to go,
but there's always something spinning. There's always something going, isn't there? Yeah,
there is. And I think that's the inspiration behind us doing all this, is that this isn't about me patting myself or you on the back. It's about, I'm trying to get the listeners to understand that we didn't plan any of this.
None of it.
It's like, oh, now I'm a health coach. Oh, now I'm on a radio show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, I did beat cancer. Oh, but by the way, now I can actually pass on the knowledge that I'm acquiring along the way. And I don't coach people, but I'm always sharing from a geneticist to a naturopath, to even an entrepreneur, any lessons I learned. Like, one of the favorite quotes I use to this day, you'll appreciate this, probably 2 years ago, from another doctor I had on the show. It was a DC, Dr. Chiropractic. And his tagline for him and his wife's practice, because they're both chiros, is he's like, we all need to become our own inner physicians. Take accountability for our health along the path. Yes, still work with doctors and stuff, but if you're not taking accountability for that and doing some of your own self-learning, you're missing the boat. So what are your thoughts on that little quote, that little statement, what I just said there?
Oh, 100%. And that's exactly what I try and do on my show. Give people the tools so they have the right questions to ask. There's so much going on. Health can be a scary thing. And the other aspect of it is a lot of people don't attend to their health until symptomology is sort of put on the back burner, and, oh yeah, well, that was bothering me, or yes, my sleep has really been, and then all of a sudden there is a health concern. And then they go to the doctor, and then they're trying to put out the fire. So keeping ahead of the game, understanding what it means to be healthy. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. And you want to have fun, but know what it means to be healthy. Understand the signs that your body is telling you. Read your own language, because we all have our own language. And
well said.
Tools. Tools.
I like
that.
How often
You can use that.
We might have to put that one in your show title. What did you say? Read your own language?
Read your own language.
I got to note that now, because I've not heard it that way before. There's definitely many variations, but I appreciate that, because we are biologically similar, but very, very different.
Yes.
Everybody's got their own unique code of lifestyle, code of genetics, code of daily. I tell you all the time, like, I do believe we can reprogram our genetics based on future ongoing steps that we take and the commitments we hold to that. I'm sure you've probably had people on your show who have spoken to that.
Yes.
Yeah, but it takes time.
It does take time.
And to your point, we all have a different language, so we actually, if anything, we have to start studying it before we can even properly, fully read it, turn it to its own dissertation, whatever level we got to take it to. Because again, we're all, here's my quote, nowadays, thanks to this podcast, I say, people, listen, we're all just at a different place in the timeline. Yeah. When people come to work with you, they're here. Now, granted, once you're working with them over the next 3-6 months, maybe a year, they're going to be way over here. And then they're going to look back and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I started there. And people coming in your door today are gonna be like, wait a minute, there's no way I can end up knowing all this and being at that place. And like, yeah, it's okay to take a deep breath. We're going to start here and end up there.
And that's the thing too, when you're doing integrative health, when you're working on your body, it's not like taking an anti-inflammatory, a Tylenol, something, and the pain goes away. We're stripping down and we're building back up.
Right.
And sometimes you don't see those little changes until 6 months down the road. It doesn't hurt to go up the stairs, or you're sleeping better, or your stomach's not bothering you. Then it's like, aha, maybe things are starting to work. And it does take time. And, we're in a society where we want everything right now. So medication is so expedient. Get rid of the symptom, push on through the day. We're all under stress. people need to take control of their own health before it's too late.
I completely agree. And actually, just because I have to do a little bit of screen sharing here for the video feed. Before we start the show, I love your testimonials section. And again, ladies, it's her name, CathyBiase.com. And they got testimonials like right here. Cathy raises me up when I'm down. Sometimes that's all somebody needs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think people make it too complicated.
Yeah. When you're in the throes of a very harsh disease, though, there's a lot of complication going on.
Okay.
So it's one of the things that I do. I think when it's dealing with cancer patients, I think probably the thing that I bring most to the table for them is a understanding of being on that side of the field.
Yeah.
So I know their fear. I know what's going on, and I can relate. They're not just talking to someone who's been educated in it. I've been educated on their level.
And I think that's what people probably connect best with you on. Like, I love this one little closing statement from Joanne. I can't thank Cathy enough for changing my way of eating, which changed my health. Now, obviously, we're targeting nutrition here, but that's just, again, if you go back, this is a root cause for many, many things, right? This is sometimes, and it's not just that. There's also your rest and recover, proper sleep habits, exercise,
100%.
as you've already reinforced. All of these areas align and they work together.
They do. They're the pillars of health. And if we attend to each pillar, chances are you're going to live a healthy life. Yeah.
So when did you actually found your podcast? How far back is that?
It's about, I think we're into 2.5 years now. April of 2017.
Okay.
I'm really not good with dates.
So we've been rocking the mic a similar amount of time. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, you've had 300 shows. I have had, because mine's a weekly show, I think I'm at 135. I'm
actually on actually here, we'll screen share again. Because I love the fact thank you. By the way, you'd be surprised how many podcasts don't have a website. Blows my mind. I'm like, are you guys kidding me? So there we go. You got the first 100 here. When people, again, ladies and gentlemen, you can get there right from the same site. We'll have this all linked on the show notes on livethefuel.com, but the health hub, and you got the first hundo 1 to 100 here, and then your second chunk 100.
Yeah, I got to redo that, make it a little bit more. I've got to link it right back to my own website here. So it was a learning. We talked about these learning technology things. Yeah.
Baby steps.
So it's not baby steps. You start in this technology stuff and it's hours.
Yeah, that's true. There you go. Episode 132, stem cells, immunity, and your health. One before that, food allergies, which, but I got somebody else got to get you connected with. Have you had Dr. Anthony J on yet?
I have not.
Oh, you'll love him. He's my geneticist buddy. So he's working with the Mayo Clinic right now. But one of the services he did was I had my 23andMe health data done.
Right.
And then he laughed at me because he's already been on the show because he's a specialist in
functional genomics?
What's that?
Functional genomics?
No, I mean, just as far as one of the services he does is, his book is called Estrogeneration.
Okay.
So he's a lot of his historical research has been done on the studies of plastics and their influence on the estrogen and hormonal impacts and how terrible it is for you. So, but anyway, so he could, people don't know this. You don't even have to pay 23andMe for their health level package. Just get the regular basic DNA background done because all the raw data sits on the back end of your account. And so he's like, yeah, when you pay for the health plus genome history, whatever, he's like, they're just spitting out whatever reports they want to give you. He's like, if you send me the raw file, which anybody can export, then he does his full deep dive genetic analysis into, get this, based on your genetics, the proper vitamins and nutrients and minerals that are going to work best with you. Mm-hmm. And he'll also tell you the chemicals to avoid based on your genetic makeup. Normally he prefers that data plus a deep dive blood panel as well. I didn't have that at the time, but now he's got coaches that he's trained, and I'm bringing one of those coaches on in a week, and I'm sending her I just had some deep dive blood data done by my chiro to prove that my lifestyle is healthy, and it is. And just had to I was like, sometimes you need.
Have you got your results yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah, trust me. I'm like, yeah. So now, but I want to see if they can get it even more precise. giving them the missing component that they didn't have before. I mean, the DNA was still pretty impressive, but it's so cool to have that stuff. So
it is. I've had a functional genomics test. That's what we call it. A functional genomics test does the same thing.
Yeah.
Equates if you're a fat burner, a carb, like metabolizer, carb, it goes right into, I think it's very good for cancer patients. Gets into brain health, heart health, everything. Same idea.
Okay.
And it doesn't just leave you there. It gives you understanding of what you can do to improve things. If you are like an estrogen producer, an over-estrogen producer, how to deal with that, or if you're just not getting rid of the estrogen. So yeah, same idea. I do hesitate. I love these tests, and probably you, myself, that sort of in this and love to just learn.
Oh, it's a geek factor. It's okay.
It is. It's a learning experience. Over testing to me, I'm always careful about, unless I know that there is an avenue to go down. Don't just give me a test and tell me my blood sugar is high. Tell me how to work with it.
Right. And
that's really important.
I think I hadn't done any really aggressive testing until, like I said, 2 years ago, we did the DNA thing. We actually did a live podcast where he read all of my results live on the air, because I have nothing to hide. I wanted people to actually understand this stuff more. And we streamed it to Facebook and everything. And then the blood panel stuff, I finally didn't get around to doing with my chiro until a month ago, because I was like, oh yeah, I meant to go back to do that. I agree. I already know enough, but it's cool. Now I'm getting to the point where I want to see if there's stuff that I can learn deeper. That's why 100%. I'm doing it. Right. Yeah. And like the next one I want to do is, I'm gonna do some swab testing for some saliva testing. They can send in and do other types of, not the DNA stuff, but they can do, like I think it's a hormone back, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I've had a whole bunch of testing recently. We've just changed family doctors.
Yep.
And I went from one family doctor that never tested anything, was all symptomology, to a family doctor that has tested everything. And, I've had cancer, so I'm always, they're always hyper vigilant with me. I know because I'm on medication, so I know that I've got to watch cholesterol and my heart. I know that's a side effect of things, so I get that done. And those are markers that I know that I need to watch, and I know what I need to manage. So understanding the tests, understanding what you can do with the test, I think is brilliant. Just having a test to say, you got this and take this medication, it kind of bothers me a little bit.
That's where I agree with you. Like, that's the only reason why I had my chiro. Like, she has whatever level of education she has, because she's not an MD, but she can submit a script and get me approved to go in and take the blood samples and have the testing done. But then the report is sent back to her, because she has the training to read the data and then see if there's any lifestyle impacts that we need to tweak or modify. So I agree with you. It's not just, oh, okay, well, you have this one symptom, even with this test, so we don't really know for sure, but they recommend this drug. None of that happened. Yeah.
It's like blood sugar is such a huge marker, and it's so impacted by many different things. If you're inflamed, your blood glucose. So just to say you've got high blood sugar and put you on a medication, well, let's figure out if there's things we can do to mitigate this and what we can do. That's how I like to approach it. And that's why I like to teach people about it. Don't just take your number, figure things out. There's a reason.
Well, it's again, back, if you go full circle back to the earlier part of the show, you had mentioned how people close to you can't help them. I've had to learn over the years. I joked around. I've been in the fitness world. I've been a trainer. I know a lot, but the people that I've never been able to help are my closest friends and family, because they're either going to make fun of it or they're not going to take you seriously. And I was like, you know what? Then you do you. I'll still be here. I'll still be interviewing amazing people way smarter than me and having them on as the guest co-hosts for the show. We'll keep sharing all this free knowledge that you could be listening to. And then one day, hopefully you take the responsibility to become your own inner physician and not wait until a symptom is so bad, right, that you're forced to take this step.
Maybe they're listening and they're just not.
They could be.
Maybe.
And if they are, I'm calling you out.
Yeah. You're doing a great job.
Well, and you as well. I actually, before I started the show, I just subscribed because I'm leaving on a business trip this week for upstate New York. So I'm going to be doing a lot of driving around, and I am going to be listening to some of your shows because I want to see if there's some healthy gurus that I've never heard of before. Because
me as well.
Yeah.
This could be a match made in heaven.
Well, and I'm telling you, if you listen to a couple of shows and there's some people that really strike your fancy, let me know. I catalog all their contact information so I can reach back out to them at any point in time. And I actually, that's been one of my new legacy messages as we're coming to the end of the show here, is that when I have fellow podcasters on, I want to make sure I can help them get connected to at least one more person.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about networking. It's about connecting. So if I
Absolutely.
can find the right connection, even if it's just one more awesome person for you for your show, back to your point earlier in the show, that could be the one person that's finally on your show that might get through to that one listener that the
Yeah.
other people didn't do. Right. So that's
And it all
exciting.
comes from a common place. We're just trying to do our thing to help people out.
Yeah. We're just providing a platform. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, listen, Cathy, I've had a blast today.
Me too. It's been
I hope you
great.
do.
I
And
had a great time.
I can't wait to listen to your show more. And obviously, again, you have my contact information now. If I could reach out to some of my past influencers, and I already have a couple in my mind that I'm going to send out intros to,
Okay.
because I already named a couple. So
And give me your feedback on my show. Now remember, it's a radio show, so it's a little bit different.
That I'm excited to. I don't listen to any shows that are actually a radio show that gets transformed into a podcast.
Yeah,
So that would be something new for me.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I don't have to do the setup at home, and if I had to, I'm not sure that I would. People don't understand how much effort it takes for you to do that.
Oh, dude, I had to hire an audio engineer to come in here and show me how to set up a mixer board. I'm not a musician. I don't know what I'm doing.
And all because you want to help people. So you're the star of the show.
Oh, well, we all are. Anyway, that being said, since you are the guest co-host for today, I do ask my guest co-host to help close the show out. So this is actually something unique. I prefer, like, I've had a couple people that didn't get it and they try to like sell stuff. I'm like, no, dude, like, you don't get it. You and I were just talking about this. Like, this is that legacy message, right? So is there something all encompassing that you've learned throughout all this? You're trying to give back, right? The podcast, the live radio show, your coaching and everything else. Is there an all-encompassing message you want to leave behind for the audience? And again, this will help them go find their website, go listen to your show, etc. But hey, what's something you want to leave behind for them? A little life lesson.
A little life lesson?
Yeah, some final words.
Help somebody else. Use your strengths. Use what you can to help your fellow human. If we all did that and we all reached out, then all of our messages will land on the right ears. It's so important. You know, I go to sleep every night with a clean conscience and happy and knowing that I'm trying my best. It's not going to hit everybody. Some people don't like the message. That's okay. That's okay. But I think that we just, you be you. Everybody do their own thing. And as long as you're doing it with a true heart, then you're going in the right direction. And it's good for your health. We'll end on that note. How's that?
I like that too. I was about to say strong words, well said, but I like the short right there, man. It's all good for your health as well. Well, listen, hang tight. I want to give you a proper goodbye off the air. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that was another healthy, and I would like to reinforce healthy lifestyle themed podcast episode for you all. But as a Canadian entrepreneur herself, trying to help fellow cancer survivors through their missions for survival, I think you need to go and check out her show. Again, it's called The Health Hub. Check it out. I will be this week more deeper dive because I already subscribed and I've never listened to a show that was actually a radio show. So there you go. That's something unique that maybe you're not used to in the podcast world. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I hinted before, all this stuff will be listed on livethefuel.com. All the links to her at the Health Hub, to her website. If you know anybody up in the Canadian area, or heck, this is the online world nowadays, so you don't need to be in Canada.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in Toronto. You know somebody who needs some help and you think that she might be the coach for them, reach out to her. Again, all the lists on the site. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. You too can live the fuel, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.